Hello, everybody. Welcome to Be Seen. I'm Brandon Lou, and this is Comic Conversation. And you know, it's more fun when I'm not having a conversation with myself. I brought a friend, a returning friend. He's joined us for our previous Power Ranger chat. He's the host of Orsini's Uncensored Mind, and he's my buddy. Did I mention he's my friend enough already?
Say
Hey,
it.
Orsini, welcome to the show.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. One of the highest rated Comic Con. I'll go ahead and take credit for Comic Con's numbers as well. I'll go all the way with it. But, one of the highest rated comic conversation episodes of all time. Let's hope lightning can strike twice here on this particular topic today.
Well, I hope so. This one's going to be a lot of fun, I think, because we are just going to talk about how we feel about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's wrapped up. We've had some time to marinate. We didn't just immediately.
I saw the finish yesterday.
It's like, did you finish? Did you finish? All right, jump on right now. It's like we've had some time to digest.
Slept on it for sure.
How do you feel? How do you feel now that it's over?
And then we'll probably get more into this as we progress, but the fact that this show wasn't talked about nearly as much as WandaVision was is a problem with me. I actually thought this would get more attention because it was more MCU-ish than the WandaVision thing. They kind of went left field with WandaVision. This one kind of fit that formula, and it still didn't get enough buzz, I thought. But I loved it. I loved every moment of it. And there's some controversial moments that I feel we need to discuss because I feel a rant coming on, but that's later. That's later. I loved it. What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm not surprised that it didn't get the same amount of buzz as WandaVision. I know that Alicia, who's been a guest in the past, and also if you're following me at all, that's my girlfriend. That's my lady, yeah. But she was kind of watching in the background. She was less interested in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but she did enjoy the show, and we'll talk about why a little later on. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So before we jump fully into it, spoilers ahead.
Yeah. Those big. If you've not seen the television show, please end the program as it is and return after viewing.
So I guess question number one: how do you feel about Anthony Mackie as lead, as Falcon, and his evolution? Watching him go from Falcon to Captain America.
Okay, well, first and foremost, for those of you out there who don't know, Cap is my favorite superhero comic book character of all time. Didn't start off that way when I started reading as a kid. As a kid, I didn't really comprehend that character the way that I probably should have. As I got older, teen years, all that stuff, and I started really getting into the material, I loved the character itself. That willingness, that never say die attitude. Nothing stops Captain America. Nothing. And he's never the strongest, he's never the fastest, even though he has superhuman abilities. But he always seems like he's at a disadvantage against whoever he's fighting against. He's the ultimate underdog, the Rey Mysterio of comic book heroes. Always seems to come up, and I love the character. I made the mistake, and I've eaten the crow since. But when they announced Chris Evans as Captain America originally, I resisted. I actually told my wife I will never see that movie. I don't want the Human Torch playing my Captain America, because at the time, the actors hadn't blended yet. That was kind of a new thing at that time. He'd already been a Marvel character, so that was the guy that I saw him as. I saw him as Johnny Storm. I'm pleased with the idea that I was completely wrong, and he did a fantastic job, not just once, but he had me almost every time that he did it, and my respect for that character grew even more. So for me personally, that pedestal of that character of being Captain America is really high up there. I love Anthony Mackie as an actor. I love him as an interview. Like, just whenever he promotes his movies and his films, he's always so animated. He's so fun, just in general. And I've seen him in a lot of movies where he's had to play super, super serious, and he's able to do that. So I was curious. In the MCU, we've gotten Falcon on a number of occasions, but not in large doses. He always kind of played his role. In the Winter Soldier, we got a nice biopic their version of his backstory and how he got the wings and stuff. But then every time after that, the Avenger films, Civil War, we didn't get a whole lot of Mackie.
Right.
So it was cool to get a lot more of him, get used to him. We got a bit of a more detailed origin story from him in the beginning of this series. I thought they filled in his blanks really well. And by the time we got to the big reveal of episode 6, I was in. I was like, okay, all right. And then the comic, adaptation of that suit, which of course we'll get to, but I was sold. And I was like, okay, this is my Cap moving forward. I'm happy. A big speech at the end, a very Cap-like speech. It wasn't a Steve Rogers speech, but it was a Captain America speech. So I was like, all right. That was like an updated 2021 Cap speech, not a 1947 one. So I'm good. I'm sold.
Mackie for me, or should I say Falcon before he became Cap, is one of my secret favorite parts of the MCU. And it's not a secret because I don't talk about it, but his role has been so small in the grand scheme of the first 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But on your show, in the past, I had said that Winter Soldier might be my favorite movie in the MCU, largely because of the action sequences. It's more hand-to-hand combat. So the fight scenes you're gonna get there, and we've seen them especially in this final episode.
Yeah.
It's the fight scenes here are more fun for me to watch than some of the other MCU films. That said, I felt like Falcon and Winter Soldier and other movies that he's appeared in has been a better war machine for me than actual War Machine, no matter who is the actor there, because War Machine has been played for jokes, I felt like, in Iron Man 2. And
throughout. Rhodey's kind of been the sidekick, comedy relief to Robert for the whole run.
And I felt like Falcon could be the same thing, but Falcon ended up being really good. Yes, he did get, taken out in Ant-Man, so that hurt a little bit. But he had some really cool scenes in Winter Soldier, and I was very happy to see him being able to be the focus and the star of this show. There is, of course, another star, and that is Sebastian Stan.
Yes, Skywalker. Well done.
Young Luke. We got to focus a bit on Winter Soldier, Bucky, and his trauma, and watching him go. How did you feel? Here's another one who maybe didn't get a lot of time spent on him, and now he had some time to really focus on him. Did the show do him justice?
I think they did the best they could with the situation they were in. His story in the comic is really different from the one that they did in the MCU. So I felt like the more they continued him, the more you can kind of see them writing themselves into a wall at some point. So I was like, once he got dipped off to Wakanda and they just set that character there, okay, we'll come back for that when we need it, and we'll focus on other things. As we all saw at Endgame, he played almost zero role in Endgame. Just a little cameo thing at the end there, a few shots of him firing the firearm or whatever. We didn't really get a sense of what's going to happen after all this, and that's a similar tagline you could put to any character. When Endgame was over, the part of the curiosity of Phase 4 is, okay, now what happens after? And for him, I couldn't even guess. I couldn't even foresee where they would head. So when they open up episode 1 with the notebook and the making of the redemption story and the names and trying to make amends and all that other stuff, I went, are we going to get 6 episodes from that? Because that seems like it would be quite a long task for him to try to make amends. I was worried that the notebook was going to lead to nothing, that we were just eventually, there's just too many names or whatever. So when they focused in on the one Asian gentleman, and then they came back to that later as the whole putting in the work thing,
right?
I thought that was well done. I was worried at first. I was like, ooh, that might be too big of a of a goal to set. But they worked their way in. They were able to tell his story without overshadowing Mackie's, which I thought was a nice touch, because they gave you a little bit not enough to overwhelm you and take away from the main point of the story. But since the title is the both of them, I thought it was important to kind of get both of the story out, and I felt like they did that. I think they did a good job with that.
It's impossible not to talk about Steve Rogers. You began talking about Cap being your favorite character at one point, and now he's probably still your favorite character. I'm not sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
yes, still my favorite. Yeah.
I had a weird kind of respect for Cap. He was never my favorite character as a kid, but Spider-Man was, and Spider-Man looked up to Cap.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's like, even though he wasn't my favorite, I knew, you don't shade Cap. Cap, Steve Rogers is the man. Yeah. And I still played the Captain America and the Avengers video game on Sega Genesis.
Okay.
So
throwback. There you go.
Super throwback. I am aging myself and I don't mind. But so I've always had an appreciation for Cap. Here the show focuses on his two sidekicks, and he's had more than two over the years, but their roles as individuals are just so tethered to Cap, to Steve Rogers specifically, that it's you can't speak about them without speaking about Steve. As we go and we look at these two and forming their own kind of identities now, and it's going to be interesting. The next Captain America movie, like it will be a Captain America movie, is going to feature Anthony Mackie. Like, he's the star of the show. And I imagine Bucky's going to be there too. Do you feel that they have crafted their personas enough where now they can successfully lead their own title or their own movie, not a TV show?
I do, and the reason why I feel that way is because they did something extra smart with this series. They did not give the Falcon and the Winter Soldier an overwhelmingly strong villain to go against. The Flag Smashers were essentially a group of young individuals who were just misguided, which kind of followed the theme of the show, of the politics and the mindset and the lifestyle of the blip and all that stuff. And yes, we had Zemo, but Zemo spent 90% of his program as a babyface. Reluctantly enough, but he really didn't. I mean, he was as respectful as Zemo as I've ever seen in my entire life. He even gave Steve Rogers the old tip of the cap in there with the whole serum thing. Well, it never poisoned Steve. Touche. But how many Steve Rogers have we had? That's another little nod there. Chris Evans must be just at home just loving himself. He's just like, I'm just great. Look how wonderful I am. I think you take the two characters in which they just developed and you put them in a situation like an Avengers film. Or, I mean, they're getting their own, but I'm saying on an MCU movie level now, you give them a full-on heel Zemo or another old-school Cap villain they can revive back to give him that would cause actual mayhem and destruction and really put them in a position to come from underneath with an already established set. This show, in my opinion, was kind of a revamping for them. They had to evolve into something else. Now they are that something else, and I'm assuming time will pass, kayfabe wise, within that universe between now and the next film, and they'll get better and they'll get stronger as a pairing. And then here comes the big baddie that they have to now overcome. Hopefully, it's that person that Sharon was on the phone with at the end.
Do you have any theories about that? Who the next villain could be?
I don't do that to myself. I make a few guesses in my head based on whatever knowledge that I have, but you'll never see me online, Googling, well, how many villains could it be? And then it's like it's like as soon as the episode ends and you have those videos out, 70 Easter eggs you didn't see 30 seconds ago when the show just ended. And it's like, nah, I watch those things for fun. I enjoy watching the shows for fun, but I'd like to just see who it is, because they've changed so many things around. Even if I said, well, logically speaking, it could be this person, and then it could be
right.
It could be anybody.
No, I'm with you. I believe I've mentioned it. In the last interview, I spoke to Darius Carter, and we did a list of villains that I want to see in the MCU. And the first one I threw out just to get him out of the way was Mephisto.
Right.
Because he's someone I would like to see, but at the same time, the world just seemed to be going, Mephisto, is this Mephisto, is this Mephisto? And
Big for that one show, but I digress. But go ahead, yeah.
but I agree with you about letting theories kind of run your enjoyment of the series.
Yeah.
Set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, I'll speculate. If I've had a few, you know, I
Yeah.
I usually watch these shows inebriated as it is. So when it's over, me and my wife immediately, oh, well, hold on a second. But after those 20 minutes are over, that's it. We just wait till next week.
a One of the things that I've seen pop up in an article was the problem with Falcon and the Winter Soldier's antagonist, and that probably being, I really didn't feel like there was much of an antagonist. Not to say that there wasn't, that would be false, but because we've had a number of people, whether it be Baron Zemo, who wasn't the antagonist, but kind of the your partner that you're not thrilled to have, a reluctant sidekick, so to speak.
Yeah.
You've got the U.S. agent, John Walker, who did amazing. He got a lot of heat, a lot of negativity just for playing the role.
That debut was not the best way to start. He was on the run for it from day one, and he was looking like the grandpa from Up. Not a good start, but that Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell DNA came through at the end. I'm very happy with his performance.
But he wasn't really a bad guy. He may have done actions that some have frowned upon, but he wasn't really a bad guy. And even with the Flag Smashers, who were our major antagonists, so to speak, they were the ones who we've been chasing from beginning to end. They had a relatable motivation.
Right.
And much of the show was focused on Sam Wilson really trying to talk to Carly to get her away from the fanaticism that she seemed to be putting on display with her actions. Going from small interactions to now we're taking the lives of people to, they're calling you terrorist. That's what they're calling you. You're saying that these guys are terrorists, but everyone's calling you the terrorist.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on there. How did you feel about, using the world of wrestling? How do you feel about the heel heat? Did we really feel a lot of heel heat in this show? Was there enough antagonist build up to really have you cheering on the babyface? What's going on?
No, I don't think there was a whole lot of heel heat, but I think that was perfect for what the overall goal was. Whenever any individual has to evolve, it comes from inside. It doesn't come from a third-party mechanism. There are situations that occur in everybody's life that may make you rethink, and it may make you look back, and it may start the thought process, but actual change comes from within. Bucky's main villain in this story is Bucky. Is his past, is what he's dealing with. That little notebook is his villain. The same thing with Sam. Sam opens up the show by giving up that shield because he felt, in his own words, without the men and women to make that symbol mean something, then the symbols are pretty much useless. So he gave the shield to that museum, aka, as we learned throughout the series, he didn't feel he was good enough to hold that shield. And even when he felt confident in himself, he still didn't feel like he should, based on all of the controversial subject matter that took place, being a black man and holding that shield, as we found out toward the end what that really meant to him in his own words. The Flag Smashers, right? They were taking things way out of control. It started small, but that fire got big over time. And that's, again, they had, like you said, a relatable cause, but it's all about the means. And that's Marvel's done that a few times. Thanos, Killmonger, where people leave the theater and they go, it didn't sound that crazy. I mean, it would suck if I got dusted, but if I wasn't dusted and I woke up tomorrow and half the people in my building didn't live here anymore, I'm not going to be that upset, is what I'm saying. and Killmonger's whole deal about, they've had us in chains, they've had us enslaved, and here's your country filled with people that look just like them. And you got all these weapons and technology and things you can do to circumvent that. A lot of people felt that in the chest. And I think this show, you gave Winter Soldier a lot of credit for being a more realistic fight scene, more realistic physical film. This show took more realism and threw it into their script. And I think that's why people had a hard time looking at this and going, well, okay, he's the good guy and he's the bad guy. Because in real life, there is no clear, this is the good guy and this is the bad guy. Walker started off as a guy who was trying super hard to be good. And then they went through a lot of trouble through episodes 3, 4, and even 5 to give you, the viewer, the impression, he might not be the nice guy we thought. And then in 6, he rose to the occasion and did the right thing. That's life. And sometimes that's what happens. So if the goal, and I'm assuming I wasn't in the writing room, if the goal for this show was to elevate the character development of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and this is the way they chose to do it, I'm in full agreement with it. Because now that they're established as characters, when you do the movie and you throw a clear-cut asshole bad guy heel, they've already gone through the trials and tribulations and they're ready to fight as a unit.
And I've got to agree there. I don't think I worried too much about how big the villain was because of the internal struggle. I was still with the journey. You know, the journey was very interesting. And I was also, and there's just this part of me that's happy to see certain people be adapted in an original way. The Flag Smashers originally was just one man. The Flag Smasher, who I don't want to say he had a bad costume.
There's a few of those in the comic books.
It was very basic, though. It's just very black and white, which was probably because he was, anti, establishment to any nation. So, there was no color, just black and white. He had a cape. So seeing how Flag Smasher, who could have been an easily ignored Captain America villain, because Captain America was not the most popular character at the time. I think the first movie helped, but I think along with the first movie, Brubaker's run on his comic that introduced the Winter Soldier, making Captain America a very espionage superhero, really helped take Cap's popularity up. So a lot of villains like Flag Smasher often get ignored. So it was nice seeing that adaptation. So even though Cap's or even though this show's villains weren't the cream of the crop, so to speak, I was still happy to see how they were adapted. That being said, Wyatt Russell's portrayal of U.S. agent I thought was really interesting. I thought there could have been some low-hanging fruit there, could have made him super conservative and just said a lot of unpopular things that would have really just angered liberal minds. They could have done that. I feel like the books have done it. Instead, I feel that Marvel went out of their way to not give you any of that. His best friend was a black man, his wife was a Latina woman, and it really didn't delve into politics at all, so much as I'm aggressive, and even his aggression wasn't so much of I'm a dick. This is a man who's been to war.
Yeah.
And
wow, baby. That's just how he does his thing. That's it.
He's not someone. I feel like a lot of times we get characters who they have experience in the military, like Cap, but we don't really see them doing any of the dirty work once they're a superhero.
Yeah.
And here's someone who was a soldier, and he's not like just fresh out of combat, but even in episode 1 where we see him getting ready to put on that suit for the first time, he's not interested in the handshakes, the public appearances, the Spider-Man Homecoming PSA sitting down on the chair. I'm like, like he wants to be in the action. He wants to be in the midst of battle, and got a lot of noise happening in the background. He wants to be in the battle because that's who he is. He's a soldier, not a super soldier,
at heart.
Soldier.
Yeah.
And watching this interpretation of US Agent has been fun for me, relatable for a lot of others. I know while some people, a lot of people, been really hating him, there were some other people on the side after he killed that one flag smasher said, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who took his side. It's like, you killed my friend, you killed Battlestar, you know.
All of a sudden they were feeling him. It's like, oh no, you did right there, Walker. Hold on a second.
How did you feel about US Agent?
I mean, I have to admit, my knowledge beforehand of, because I knew it was coming, right? I knew the character was going to be used in this show, but I didn't take the time to do the proper research. I don't have much memory of US Agent, so I didn't come into this with any pretenses about how it was supposed to occur. So since I didn't look anything up, I decided I'm just gonna see how they did it, and then after the fact, I guess I'll take a look back and see how that matches up with the way they did it in the comics, which I haven't had a chance to do yet because I just finished it yesterday. But my interpretation of the way that I'll say this, the way that it was at least used within the show, I love the fact that he was not trying so hard to be Steve. That was the only thing that I was really worried about. Yes, he understood the magnitude. Okay, I'm Captain America. Yes, the greatest Captain America of all time was Steve. But I felt like in the beginning he genuinely, like, I started feeling sympathy for him as a character. Because I felt like in the beginning he genuinely was trying to be a nice fucking guy, and they just kept shitting on him because he wasn't Steve. I also like the fact that it kind of brings, as the viewer, it brings that label of Cap down just a little bit, so that when Sam takes the reins, it shoots back up. I'm like, all right, that's good. It made it a more reachable goal for Sam Wilson to grab onto. That's good.
I think it's there's only so much you could do from the comics, and I feel like this was a trying to unify different storylines at once. Because I remember when Cap had died, there was a lot of people going for that role. Everyone trying to be Cap. Punisher tried it and had one of the worst costumes I've ever seen. And US Agent, when he was going for Cap, that was back when Cap had stepped down from the role, which I guess technically he actually did do, but he stepped down for more political reasons. Steve didn't feel like the country represented what he stood for, and he started going as Nomad. So unifying these two different things, and honestly, I guess one of the things I'm happiest about is US Agent is not, he's not wearing his kind of Judge Dredd ripoff looking costume, which I'm gonna send you that, and of course we're gonna put the image up here, right, Joe? All right.
And graphic.
But I was happy to see how we were able to tie in the chase for this role, the fact that the government chose somebody, that being Jonathan Walker, which I've always thought was funny. Yeah. It's like it's like I need to have a drink every time I hear John Walker's name.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. I thought it was a liquor.
Yeah, it's like every time I hear his name, it's like, all right. It's like I see what you did there. You naming your character after whiskey, but but
he was drinking at the desk. What do you want to call this one? John Walker.
But I was really happy to see the tie-in between the chase for the shield, the chase for the costume, and these two different storylines kind of converging, because it really worked out. I think some people were kind of still hoping that Bucky would become Cap, because there was a brief time when he wore the outfit. What do you think that he would have made a better Cap? Do you feel that do you have a preference over who carries the shield?
No, well, as far as as long as they have the qualities that belong to that title, I kind of saw Sam coming because I mean he's
Right.
been Captain America for 6 years now in the books. So I knew as soon as Endgame was over that they were going to start updating everything. You
Right.
know, listen, we gave you 11 years of all of the old shit. Okay, so that's all the nostalgic shit, all the shit that if we were going to do Marvel stuff, that's the stuff we're going to do. Thor, Iron Man, Cap, Spider Man, all that stuff. All right, there it is. Now, now we're doing the new shit because it's, when you really think about it, they built an empire. It's $1 billion industry, and now just like as the movies became popular, you started seeing little pieces of that movie influence the books. Now, with the popularity of these new movies and new shows, you're probably going to start seeing characters and storylines that aren't in the books yet.
Right.
They're going to start intertwining over time. Just for marketing reasons, toys and clothing and all that stuff, it just makes sense to update everything so that you could do it as you move forward. So I saw all the way.
It's funny you bring up the toys because the moment I saw Falcon in his Cap outfit, I was like, this is probably the only time he's going to wear that outfit. There's going to be a whole new Captain America outfit by the next movie.
Oh, when the movie comes, that next shit's gone.
Yeah.
and there was a lot of complaining online about the logistics of the mobility of the suit, just how padded it was and how up top heavy it was. Listen, Chris Evans has said it a million times. They went through 1,000 Captain America suits before they got to one that they could actually use physically. And throughout the course of the show, I personally believe they went as hard as they could to make that outfit as comically accurate as they could so that you could see it. When we get to the movie, it won't look like that. It'll be much more functional, probably sleeker. Think Winter Soldier when they made his old Cap uniform a little bit more Black Ops, a little bit more sleek, a little bit more modern. You might see more of that. That first outfit, a tribute to Cap, but now he needs to be his own Cap. And we're probably going to see that, which means a different set of toys because it's going to look. I know, but I mean, marketing-wise, it's a fantastic idea. They know what they're doing. And as far as someone else, Bucky could not have held that shield. And I know in the comics that he has, but in the Bucky of their universe, it would have been no. It would. I don't think it would have worked. I think it would have contradicted everything that they built for that character. It's his wildness. It's his wild card aura. It's his. We don't know what we're gonna get from Bucky from day to day. That made him that character that he was. Now in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, they've smoothed that out. He's way more consistent now. He's finding himself. They did a beautiful scene of him in Wakanda when he finally realized he was in control, when they said the activation words and it didn't work.
What a moment that was.
It was beautiful. But before that, we didn't know which Bucky we were going to get on what fucking day. So no, it wouldn't have worked with the shield. Now he's mellow, he's cool. And now that he's got his shit together, because that's how the show ends, you see a happy Bucky. He's lifting children with his bionic arm. And he's a happy Bucky. Even now, if you were to say, well, I mean, he's an actual super soldier, it would work. I still wouldn't want that for him because much like Cap got his ending with the dance and he got this wonderful, beautiful finish for him. He said it in the show. He's what, like 100 years old, 106 years old? Mm-hmm. Don't give that motherfucker the shield. Sam's the young buck. Let the young guy move the shield around for a while. You know, Buck I think is happy playing the assistant coach right now.
I was talking about adaptations, and we would be just terrible people, and also just ignorant if we didn't talk about Isaiah Bradley and his adaptation.
Let me stretch. Okay, get ready. All right, Isaiah Bradley, go ahead.
Isaiah Bradley.
This is why I took the invite on the show. So go ahead.
So Isaiah Bradley is probably stole the show for my girlfriend and myself as well. But whereas Alicia was sitting on the side, you know, occasionally glancing over. Every time Carl Lumbly was on camera, and he brought such gravitas, such presence to every syllable he uttered. That this might be my favorite interpretation. Not that there's been a ton of interpretations, but when you're looking at the comic versus the film, Isaiah Bradley, after being tested on and gaining his super strength over the years in the books, had also suffered some brain deterioration and could not speak. And he was not able to convey any of the messages or words that were spoken in this show. And I'm so happy that they removed that, because Isaiah Bradley really took Sam Wilson to task, and to a certain extent, kind of reminded Winter Soldier that he is not one to mess with, even now at his older age. But he was the one who challenged Sam to ain't no black man gonna carry that shield. Any black man who's willing to lift that shield is a fool. He challenged everything that Sam thought and believed, and it doesn't come from a place of ignorance, because Sam is a black man himself. He knows what's out there. He's not no stranger. He's not a stranger to racism. He's experienced it. But their philosophies are different, and so these philosophies were battling constantly, and it really had it. I'm not sure whose influence was greater in making Sam decide to be less afraid to grab the shield. Because I don't, part of me wants to say the relationship with Bucky did, but Isaiah Bradley was really the one who challenged him and made Sam have to really come to terms with what does he believe in and what is he going to do for the things that he believes in. How do you feel about the truth? How do you feel about Isaiah Bradley and Carl Lumbly's interpretation of him, his performance of him on camera?
I want Carl Lumbly to be my grandpa. You use so you have a theater background, right? You have a
yes, this is true.
A drama background. So you use the word like gravitas. He has. He is on screen. I have no formal training, but I'm experienced in the art of oratory speaking, and I have coached people through that. And the word that came to my mind the minute we saw him, command. There is something about his presence. I have to fucking look. And it's that Jake Roberts effect where it's like he's not yelling, he's not screaming, he's just talking. With that gravelly, he was able to deliver each line. There's not one line, even at the end when he's half laughing, there's not one line that he delivers in this show where there's not a small smidge of pain in that line. Just a small little pain, exhaustion, frustration, just all those things all rolled into one. And when you hear his story, and for those of you listening at home, the story that he gave in the MCU version of this story, much cleaner and much better than the one they give in the books, because the one they give in the books is a much darker look as to how Isaiah Bradley got his powers, very Tuskegee-like. And I don't think that the creators of the show wanted to go as deep, but they went deep enough to where I feel like they gained a lot of respect from a community that was very afraid they would not. When I found out he was going to be on this show, and I do have a little bit of history of him, I'll admit not much, and I looked it up a little further before the show actually aired, and I really got a chance to, again, I read these comics when I was so young, so now as an adult to go back and reread some of this stuff, I have much more respect for some of the subject matter that they had the guts to hit then, right? Mm-hmm. The stories that we heard in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they're ruffling feathers today, which is part and parcel the problem. But I love the way that they told his version of the story, how Sam took it in, how he felt it. A big part of that story, and I know people probably overlooked it, but Bucky's reaction to the story, I think, was very, very important. Here's a guy from the 40s
Right.
who lived through all this. He wasn't trapped in ice for as long as Steve was. He got to experience a lot of some of the stuff that happened in the past, and it's never touched on about how these guys dealt with the racism of that time period, or the hypocrisy, or the stereotypes, or whatever the case may be. Not just against African Americans, but remember World War II against the Japanese, how we felt about those damn Japs and the Charlies over in Vietnam and all this stuff. Racism has been such a part of this country from day fucking one. And as many times as people don't want to listen to it during their entertainment, it's here. And realistically, if we had a real Captain America in real life, and he looked like Steve for a long time, and then all of a sudden our Captain America looked like Sam, there'd be a problem with a lot of people. And I have evidence, because we had a lot of presidents before Obama. Wasn't an issue until it got to that point. Okay, so I want to say two things in terms of the Isaiah Bradley thing. It's not a political issue, because that's what I keep hearing the most. Well, I just want them to leave politics out of my comic book movies. Then you clearly haven't read a comic in your life. Right. Because a lot of that stuff not only is present in the books, but a lot of political stuff has been major motivators for figures in the books. Captain America, you guys sat through a whole movie about Captain America being a volunteer for a military project that made him a super soldier. Now you don't want politics in your fucking comic book movies. You have to make a decision where that line is. It was cool when it happened with Steve. It wasn't politics then, it was rah rah America. Now the black guy has his shield, and all of a sudden it's an issue. So I love the fact that it ruffles feathers. I love the fact that they had the balls to include it. They didn't go as deep as they could have, but they went deep enough to cause a lot of ruckus about this whole, and the scene with the cops when they gave Sam a hassle, and Bucky was the one that was eventually arrested. Yeah. Got the warrant and stuff. I mean, a lot of people just, well, I don't need to see that in my movies and my shows. Yes, you do. If it still bothers you, you need to see it, and you're going to keep seeing it until it stops bothering you, because this is what people are living through every day. Someone told me the other day, I use these shows as an escape. It must be nice to be able to have an escape, because the rest of us don't have a chance to fucking escape. We use these movies as a rallying cry. When the African American community saw that scene from Isaiah Bradley, they fucking felt it. Yeah. It was like, like everyone was in the house like, go ahead, Isaiah, preach to him. And everybody else was just, oh, I don't care for it. I just want to see him become Captain America. Aren't we past this already? Apparently not. So I need more. I love the ending. Yeah. I teared with the statue at the end and the whole section that they gave him, and
you said that whenever he spoke, you can feel his pain, his frustration, his hurt, and it's just it's tantamount to his ability as an actor, because even when he's not saying a word, when he goes and he approaches his section of the Captain America Museum, and that statue is shown and the memorial is shown, you see his hand shaking.
Yeah, he when they turned that corner, he was the first one to emote.
Yeah,
in his face, and you can see it. His body stiffened. He grabbed his nephew or his grandson, I can't remember which one it was, by the shoulder. The other two didn't even react yet. It was him. The very visual, and I love the fact that we didn't need the camera to be involved with it. Right. I don't need to see it yet. Show me what he's feeling right now. And it was almost a perfect scene. And then that handshake at the end, like you said, you can see it in his eyes. Yeah. Even in that moment where he's probably the happiest he's been in 50 years, it's been beaten out of him. It's you can see it in him. It will never come back. But this is a nice little light at the end of the tunnel for him to see this other African American gentleman with the shield and the gravitas to set this up and to have this involved in the museum right next to Steve Rogers in the room right next door. I thought it was a nice tribute to him. And to be honest, and I know I'm probably reading into this, but I have African American members in my family. I'm part African American, and more importantly, I have 3 who are retired military from the branches. So when I saw that and I saw that face, I'm going to be honest with you, I've seen that face before on a few of my family members' faces. So yeah, I got emotional when I saw it because I knew what that meant on what that level for these people. So the people who had a problem with it, up your nose with a rubber hose. For the rest of us with brains in our heads, we not only enjoyed it, but we appreciated that on a wider scale than just an MCU show.
Absolutely. There's another adaptation. I can't really touch on it too much, partially because I don't even really know where it's going. Okay. Not just an adaptation, but very much like Isaiah Bradley, newest agent, an introduction. We got Contessa Fontaine, and her name is actually much longer than that, but it feels like Dot from Animaniacs going is like Contessa Maria Anna Banana. It's this. But played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes, big surprise. I was like, okay, they got the Seinfeld lady in here. We're really reaching out now.
You know, and that's not even where my first mind went to. Oh, they got Veep. Like I know she's Elaine from. Yeah. I know that she's Elaine from Seinfeld, but she's also the vice president in this other show. So
Veep.
Yeah. It's like I don't actually watch the show, so I don't know her name in Veep.
I went to Elaine because I didn't want to date. I didn't want to expose myself.
Oh man, I don't mind. I
don't know the name of.
Normally, you know what? I was gonna. I didn't want to talk about exposing myself on this widely watched show here.
Yeah, YouTube won't take too kindly to that.
But
that section when you upload, it's going to be no, not made for kids.
I feel that the introduction of Contessa Fontaine, it's going to be, I don't know how big of a role she's going to have in the future, but I know it's going to be something, and I'm not sure exactly. She's someone I have to theorize about because she's someone who in the comics she's been a love interest for Nick Fury.
Yep.
She's worked for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Who's not dead, by the way, which is...
Of course.
He's just busy.
No, busy in space, chilling with his green buddies.
Yeah. His new friend, the Skrulls.
Yeah, which we're going to talk about some more. But it's she's someone who now I'm wondering what her role is, what it's going to be. Because who you are in the books may not necessarily be who you are in the movies. You know, she's been Madam Hydra in the past. But Hydra, right? Say that again?
I think currently we don't have Hydra anymore, right?
Currently we don't have Hydra. I don't know if they're going to come back. I don't know if AIM
come back. Try to take its place.
Yeah, I don't know if AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, will be returning.
I have no idea why you nerd heads can't say AIM without explaining what the fucking acronym is. Just say AIM. I don't know what. There's a nervous tick with you people, and you have to fucking say it right after. Why? Just say AIM.
First, we're showing off.
That's what I'm saying. You don't do it with S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a lot of films in Marvel. For some reason, AIM. Whenever they go, you know, she might be from AIM, which, by the way, is advanced. And it's okay.
I think also for the people who might not know, you know, we have to. It's kind of like when they explain, you know, a wrestler's how many titles they've won to build prestige.
Yeah,
You know, it's like we know already. We know, but some people don't know.
So really? Is he a 6-time Intercontinental Champion? Really?
You couldn't tell me when I was
saying 17 times.
You couldn't tell me that when Pedro Morales was jobbing out every week on Superstars that was a Triple Crown champion.
You gotta remind people sometimes.
You gotta let me know. I might be a new viewer.
Respected. Yeah, the guy who's currently getting his ass kicked has won every major championship in the world, and I was getting beat by Joe Jabroni here.
But it could be AIM. It could be. I doubt it'll be Leviathan. I don't think they're gonna do that. But at the same time,
they've managed to perfectly go up the scale. Excuse me, up the scale and down the scale. Major characters, obscure characters. I got way more Backtrock than I thought I was gonna get.
I am so happy that we got Batroc back.
Yeah, like one episode too. Like I was like, oh man, got a big fight scene for him. The guy was like, well, at least he got a chance to run that cat fight back.
Let Saint Pierre get his money, man. Let GSP get some royalties.
GSP, there you go. That's what his friends call him.
But when I see Contessa, and then we also saw Sharon Carter taking up the role of the power broker.
Yeah, that was surprising too. I couldn't believe they turned her heel. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I had read an article that said, to the surprise of no one, and I was like, fuck you, that shocked me.
Yeah. I didn't think that's where that was headed. I mean, of course, based on the history, you could do that, but I just didn't think that I didn't think they would. I don't know why I thought Sharon was just going to be the one. Come on, Mrs. Rogers. I thought for sure this would be the one. It's like, all right.
The memes, because memes are a reliable source of information.
Obviously, yeah.
The memes all suggested when the show began that she would be a love interest for Sam or Bucky. However, not only did that not turn about, but completely, like she was not a romantic interest, and I'm happy that they didn't go that route. But I didn't expect that her pivotal role, so to speak, that she would end up be a future antagonist. And so I bring her up alongside Contessa because we have these two powerful figureheads. And I don't know if they're headed in the same direction or if they have completely separate schemes on the side. Contessa is the one who ends up dubbing John Walker as the U.S. agent. But I'm not actually sure that she works for the government in any capacity. I don't know who she represents. And the future of Marvel, there's a couple things we have ahead of us. We have the Armor Wars, which will feature Rhodey taking up the role of War Machine, but it's an old Iron Man storyline. We also have the Secret Invasion in the future, and we have Sharon Carter saying, like, her final phone call during her sequence was going along and saying, we may not be able to do the super soldier thing, but we now have access to a lot of government
candy store
weaponry. Yeah. And so it's like she could be involved in Armored Wars. I feel that the MCU has been giving too much away as far as secrets for the Secret Invasion, but she might not even be the real Sharon Carter. She could be a Skrull. So I have no clue where they're going, and you have these two figureheads of power, of espionage, that I have no clue how their fingers are going to dabble in the MCU, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I was actually wondering as soon as I think it was was it a senator? I think it was a senator.
Yes.
When they told her, oh, we have a position for you at your old station or whatever. And I'm like, I thought she was a SHIELD agent. What was she doing before the blip and everything happened? I don't recall that. So I was like, where is she going back to? And then the whole phone call at the end, oh, we're about to have secrets and weapons. And then I was like, bro, you going full heel? Come on, you going full heel? Sharon, baby, not Agent 13. Come on. Heart was broken. But I'm ready for it. Because you know what? Not for nothing, the actress, Emily Van Camp,
yes.
I've never seen her be a bad person before. As an actress, look at her And look at her demeanor and the way she speaks and delivers lines and the way she acts. She's just a good-hearted individual. Like, you just rub me as someone who is just always positive. Like, would be at the bus stop holding an umbrella in the pouring rain, just happy go sunshine. And now she's gonna get a chance to be one of the baddest bitches on the block. So let's see. Let's see.
It's gonna be interesting seeing where it goes. I'm not sure if I was so much afraid, but I'm still wondering exactly how, not how they'll tie in, but how in the TV shows are, because I feel a little maybe just a little bit of trauma from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show and maybe a little bit of the Netflix TV shows. Originally feeling that it was tying into the greater Marvel universe, only to find out that it did not, that the MCU is going to go their separate ways from the television division. So at first I was like, well, are these television shows going to be seen with the same level of importance? And it looks like it is. Like, it absolutely is. You know, Disney's really given everything, putting a lot of money into these shows. But I'm still wondering how influential of a character, you know, Sharon Carter is going to be, and how influential Contessa is going to be. Because even Nick Fury
be huge to be effective.
True.
Which is another piece, because they have so many characters that they've already invested in up until this point. They don't necessarily need to be dominant figures, but they could still, while still being low key, they could still have very huge impacts on the way that a lot of this stuff takes place. Especially in that new Cat movie coming out.
Agreed. I guess there's just this part of me that's, I felt that Nick Fury was like peppered in just like a little too gently in some of the movies. Like, man, I would have loved to have seen Nick featured more, because he's someone who had his finger in all the pies. So
I've been yelled at a few times for having my fingers in too many pies. I know what he's talking about.
Stop pie picking.
Stop. I can't help it. I can't help it.
Oh man, it's something where with these two figures, I'm definitely looking forward to the future. The next show is going to be Loki.
Yes.
I have
coming up.
I have no clue what to expect for that, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was so much different from WandaVision. Excuse me. And it looked like to me, Loki looks like it's going to be very much like the Exiles comic. You know, where the timelines have been messed up. We're going to fix the timelines. This is going to be Marvel's Doctor Who. I don't know.
I don't know enough about Doctor Who to make that comparison, but I from the trailers that they've released, Marvel has such a beautiful way of controlling whatever leaky narrative does come out. Because even the stuff that leaks, you can't trust.
Right.
Because then the directors and the writers will literally go out of their way to either refute it or go with it. And you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely what's going to happen. And you're like, no, that tone makes me feel like that was not going to happen.
Oh no, we've seen in just the trailers alone. We'll go and show you something in the trailer and then give you something completely different in the movie. Like we saw that with Hulk. You know, we were expecting Hulk to be, you know, there in Wakanda during this big battle, and instead we got Bruce Banner in a Hulkbuster outfit. You know, so we'll be led one way, and only to be find out that we're going another way. Marvel has a very big bag of tricks, and they like playing with all of our little minds. But it's something that I'm excited for. I'm very happy that Falcon and Winter Soldier turned out the way it did. From start to finish, I was very pleased. I'm happy you were too, and joining me in this excitement.
I was super excited. I'm glad because you got to me this morning. I had just watched it last night. I'm glad you didn't hit me up yesterday, because then I would have been like, oh no, wait, I want to see the finale first. No, but we got nice and comfy. Me and the wife, we got together and we watched it yesterday. Kudos. I felt like there was more discussion with WandaVision because of they were. I remember reading, and I'm already trying to wrap up. I apologize, but
No, go ahead.
and writer for Falcon and Winter Soldier before the show came out. This was about midway through WandaVision. He did some interview with some magazine. I forgot which one it was, and we were asking him about the success of WandaVision and what people, do you like it when people kind of interject their own ideas and they make these predictions and all that sort of stuff. And he gave him the old, you don't want to get your hopes too high up and you leave yourself to disappointment, blah, blah. But I love that he comes out of it and he goes, you won't get any of that with my show because Falcon and the Winter Soldier is straightforward. He's like, nope, we're not leaving anything to mystery. We're going to tell you exactly what's going on every second and every minute. He goes, we may have a few surprises for you, but for the most part, the overall major scheme of the show will be very, very clear cut for everyone to understand. Because I think, in all honesty, that's where WandaVision lost a lot of people. It was so open to interpretation, and there was nothing, at least in the beginning part of the show, that was concrete enough for people who don't really like taking the mental gymnastics to just give me something. They left it a lot for you to be creative with, and then along the line, they kind of revealed. They didn't do that with this show. I felt that this show was very much bang, bang, MCU, this is what it is. And then when it got into the character development, I think that's where a lot of people started feeling that whole slowdown thing that we heard a lot. Oh, it started getting real slow and I was getting bored. And I was like, okay, because you don't want to take the ride. I get it. You just want to get to the whole show me the suit and blow some shit up.
Right.
I get you. So just come back in 2 weeks while the rest of us with brains in our heads enjoy the creativity of it. And then you can get your exploding shit and all that other stuff. This is why Michael Bay is famous.
Yeah,
there's a
absolutely
whole litany of people out there that are just like, well, here's the script for the. What's the budget for the pyro? Oh, a lot of that. I was like, proceed. I don't. Helen, Kevin, whatever the fuck his name, I don't fucking care. Just blow a bunch of shit up, please. So I'm looking forward to see where Loki takes us. Spoiler alert, based on what I just said, if you're not with the mental gymnastics, stay away from Loki. He's not going to give you what you want on that. There's going to be a lot of thinking, all right? Because we're dealing with time again. We're back on the time thing, okay? He broke the time. We grabbed the Tesseract on that rewind thing. He fucked everything up. So it's 8 episodes of fixing time. If you don't want to, if time too big for a brain, stay away from Loki because that's not going to be for you. I don't want a bunch of people online sullying my good time with your uncultured swine speak. Leave me out of it. Let me enjoy my good dialogue, well-written backstory characters. Thank you. Even Owen Wilson, I'm looking forward. He's got a stash now, so I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, I was so happy to see him
I want to see mustached Owen Wilson get in there with, apparently, because the writers from Loki said they gave Tom Hiddleston a lot of improv room on this show during the course of.
Well, you're not a Thor Ragnarok fan, so how do you feel about the improv here?
I'm hesitant because Taika's not in charge of this, so I don't think the improv we're gonna get is a whole lot of hilarity. I think when I hear improv, I think the whole spectrum. Yes, we're gonna get some jokes. Yes, we're gonna get some funny situations. But I also think because of Tom's theater background and his actual acting ability, we may see some authentic moments that might have been off the cuff as well. So I'm anticipating a lot of different things that's going to be going on. He might react to something different than he normally would. We may see a whole new Loki here. I don't know. It'll be fun to see how that turns itself out.
Right. I know that man, there's even now still so much to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I'm thinking about WandaVision. I'm thinking about how they differentiate. I think part of the reason why the reactions are so different is because, like you said, WandaVision didn't feel very much like an MCU film or show or anything. It was, while there was mental gymnastics there, using your words, it was also far more acceptable to people who haven't been following the MCU at all. Like, if you just wanted to see some really weird, quirky stuff, like this was the show for that. A lot of people who maybe were parents who don't really follow the MCU put this on for their kids, and their kids are like, "What's going on with Scarlet Witch and Vision?" And their mom or dad is watching in the background, like, this is interesting. So a lot of people who were maybe not so interested in the MCU stuff still singing along. It was Agatha all along. They're listening to these songs. They're watching
news charts.
They're watching weird sitcom-y behavior. And I know my buddy producer Joe was not so much a fan. He was not a fan of all this. He was like, all right, you did the sitcom thing, get over it. You didn't have to do it for 3 episodes. But for a lot of people, those moments were the best moments. And so seeing that we're willing to do different things in each TV show, I'm excited for Loki. There's still, we talked about Isaiah's, grandson, which gives us hints about Young Avengers. There's so much still that we have not dived onto, but we don't have the time to talk about all of it. Is there like a favorite moment? Is there something that you go, and there's a lot of moments, but is there a favorite moment that you think about when you think about Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Isaiah Bradley. I mean, I'm sorry. There was so many cool Captain America related things that happened in the show, but Isaiah Bradley, because that's the kind of stuff that, WandaVision got people disappointed because their predictions didn't come out. This disappointed people because they just don't want to hear about this stuff. They're over it. Okay, racism exists. White people bad. Okay, move on. No, not move on. Pay attention to what's happening here. I don't know how many times people have to say it to you. I got more out of people being ruffled. And you know me in social media, I will egg people on all day. I'm the ultimate troll. I'll sit there and I'll fan the flames. But people got more upset over that one scene, which was the whole, no, they will never let a black man be Captain America, and no self-respecting black man would want to be one.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. It's division, more division. It's so decisive. No, we're not on the same team to begin with, bro.
Right.
You think we are, because these things don't affect you. But
and it was such a strong topic. Even on my Twitter feed, I saw one gentleman who was talking about Falcon being the first African-American superhero, and that he did not want to see his legacy taking up some white man's costume. And and he's read the comics, he knows it happens, he just doesn't want to see it. And I'm happy that was addressed as well. Isaiah Bradley represents that also. Like, he wasn't pro taking up that shield and waving the flag. So it was nice to see these arguments represented. I'm glad you brought up Isaiah Bradley again. Also because I can just go on about Carl Lumbly. We talked about we talked about him being an orator. You mentioned that specifically, and the fact that he's done voice work also for, he played Martian Manhunter in the Justice League series, animated series, and also in the Injustice video game.
He's got some time.
Yeah, he's super throwback, and this is like niche throwback. So it's like not just Asian myself, but you had to be there and see it. He was also in the Mantis TV show, the Mantis TV show and movie, which I didn't know there was a movie. I just remember Mario Van Peebles in Mantis, and so he's someone who's got a lot of superhero credit as well. So it was nice seeing him physically represented and lending his voice through the years. This man's an icon. It is time that I wrap up this show, but I'm gonna give you your space because I need to know where you're at. Where can I find you, sir? Where can anyone watching this show find you so we can hear more of your uncensored mind?
ajlum.podbean.com is where you can get all the episodes for the show. The social medias, just Google me. It's the fastest way. It's the fastest way at AJ Orsini 96, I think, for Twitter and Instagram, and then just AJ Orsini on Facebook. I'm also one half of the voices for Global Syndicate Wrestling, so I'll be calling my next event May 22nd live on Fight TV. GSW presents Catalyst, so tune into that where you get to hear me talk about all the funness going on that particular show, because I'm really good at calling matches. He would know. He's called a bunch of them with me. I got a new partner now who's awesome. He's no Brandon Lewis, but he's awesome.
Don't gas me.
I love Mike Falvo. He's awesome. Worked for I'd never met him before until our first show back in February, and it was like a glove. We worked really well together, so it should be
beautiful,
even more fun on May, because we've got the experience now. We've got a lot more stuff going on for that show, so it's going to be great. My first time calling is going to be predominantly women's matches. We have a tournament that's taking place in the whole first round. It's 4 matches. It's taking place on this card. Dickinson versus Hammerstone. Davey Richards is back in the business, and he's debuting with us. We got a lot of stuff. Jacob Fatu and Mike Elgin. So a lot of stuff going down. So check us out on Fight.
All right. I will definitely do that. I implore everyone else who's following and listening to do that as well. And of course, you can keep the conversation going here. Please keep it going, not just by hitting that like button, not just by hitting that subscribe button and sharing to all of your friends who have definitely watched this show, because everybody has Disney Plus, it seems. But
also 8 million subscribers strong.
You can also keep the conversation going in the comments. I do read them. I will respond. So go ahead.
I will read them and troll you.
Comment below. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lewis or Brandon. And you can hit me up at Comic Conversations at Comic Convo, COMICONVO. Thank you very much, everybody watching. This has been the show. Keep it glued to find out. If you want to hit the alarm button, I'll be honest, I don't hit the alarm button on any channels. But if you do want to keep up with To Be Seen, you can hit that alarm button too, and you can stay up to date with everything we got going on.
I hit the alarm bell for my own channel because I love it.
In case you forget.
Yeah. Just to keep it on pace and make sure no one's hacking me and uploading shit against my will.
Oh man, well, do the same for us. And that is our show. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye.